Niggas. Why, brother? Alright, you got the snow bunny making you do these? Also, from a Marine, you can't hit your... Well, thank God you couldn't hit his target. How about that?
And McDavid, who had made a run for it after his failed attempt. The AR-15 rifle he used was later found in his garage. After the pair were arrested a week later, it was revealed that Lovejoy had paid McDavid $2,000 to assassinate her ex-husband.
It's not enough. $2,000. You lost your freedom for $2,000. Think how broke is you? Sorry, you famed for 26 years. I thought you got a 50 ball at least, a Honda. He ain't even get sentenced for real. He just said, "Yeah, you guilty." You fainted because he was guilty. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
50 in bullying and seriously assaulting him. One time, Gamut stabbed Hill with a knife and stitched up the wound afterwards. She also punctured his lung in another assault incident. And in a third incident, she hit him in the head with a hammer.
That brother never had a chance. Never had a chance.
Racks of fucking riches, I ain't really got it. I feel like Aladdin, I ain't never had it. Cause I ain't never had shit, I ain't never had it. Till I found his magic, till I found his magic. Racks of fucking riches, racks of fucking riches. I feel like Aladdin.
Welcome back, we're back with another reaction video. Today we're reacting, well, actually continuing the reaction to Evil Lives Here video, 118 killer sentences of all time. I ain't gonna lie, this nigga is rehashing a lot of shit I've seen before, but I'm here for the newer shit.
Matters into her own hands. She hit Stoney in the head with a 2x4, causing severe injuries. She then proceeded to strangle Stoney with a shirt while Stoney was still alive. Michelle forced Gabby to assist in placing the teenager's body in the freezer. Michelle then threatened Gabby, saying she would first kill Gabby's only surviving brother, and then Gabby and herself if Gabby told anyone about what happened to Stoney and Steven.
In her confession, she says she killed 15-year-old Stoney Ann Blair and 8-year-old Stephen Barry because they were harming her youngest son since he was in diapers.
2 years later, Michelle was evicted from the home for failure to pay rent. When an eviction crew arrived to get Michelle and her children out of the house, they made a horrifying discovery. They found Stoney and Steven's frozen bodies in the freezer.
First degree committed in the presence of another child. Appearances for the record, please.
Karen Goldcraft for the people.
Brian Sermon on behalf of the people. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Wyatt Harris on behalf.
Michelle Blair was arrested and charged with 2 counts of felony murder, premeditated murder, and torture. Several months after, Michelle pleaded,
Nigga, how are you touching this evil bitch? Hey, man. That nigga gotta be detached from the world. Ain't no way.
guilty and was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. During the sentencing hearing, Michelle expressed her willingness to accept the death penalty if Michigan were to offer it. However, the judge was quick to point out that she had already imposed the death penalty on her children, to which Michelle replied, "I did."
Both fathers failed to support, care for their children for 2 years, at least 2 years. And for them to now come before this court and say we should be entitled to unsupervised.
Before the judge handed down the sentence, Michelle could address the court. Instead of taking responsibility for her actions, she shifted the blame to the fathers of her 4 children, claiming they had played
Fathers of the 4 children. That's a problem within itself. Like I said, before she ever had any relations willingly, she should have went and got some healing. Found herself something. That's
no
crazy.
role in their lives. Her defense attempted to mitigate the circumstances of Michelle's conviction by highlighting that she had little education before becoming a mother herself.
They were aware of abuse in 2002 and 2005.
Michelle's demeanor throughout the trial painted a picture of a cold, calculating individual. She showed virtually no remorse for the crimes she had committed, referring to her dead children as demons and displacing an eerie detachment from her actions. When addressing the judge, Michelle unapologetically asserted that she never lied about anything and was perfectly fine in her twisted way. Moving from the disturbing reality of Michelle Blair's case, we now confront the unsettling story of Diana Lovejoy.
K. McDavid, guilty of the crime of conspiracy to commit murder.
Diana Lovejoy, a fitness instructor and YouTuber, was in a strained relationship with her ex-husband, Greg.
YouTuber? What do you mean by that? Like, bro, she got videos on YouTube.
Mulvihill. as the pair battled over details concerning their contentious divorce, including the custody of their young son. Lovejoy, born on the 26th of October 1972, had dated Mulvihill for a year before the couple got married in 2007. However, the marriage faced problems right from the start, as Lovejoy suffered numerous miscarriages before she finally had a son. And within 7 years of their marriage, Lovejoy had filed for divorce. The long court case following the divorce filing only strained the relationship between the couple further, as the initial full custody and child support benefits granted to Lovejoy for their then 3-year-old son was changed for the couple to share instead. Lovejoy was also required to pay Mulvihill $120,000 as she kept their family house in Carlsbad, California. Lovejoy did pay Mulvihill the required sum, but she never wanted to share custody of her only child, so, in a surprising twist, she hatched a sinister plan to execute her ex-husband. On the 4th of September 2016, Mulvihill received a call from someone pretending to be a private investigator who threatened him with alleged evidence of his mistreatment towards his wife, which could be used against him in court. The caller was able to convince Mulvihill to go to a remote location near Rancho Santa Fe to collect the evidence. And on reaching there with his friend Jason around 11 p.m., Mulvihill was shot in his side after spotting someone in the bushes. However, the bullet missed his heart and he was able to survive the shooting. Investigations into the attempted murder were conducted, and it was quickly concluded from the evidence found, such as cell tower data, that Lovejoy had been involved in the attempted murder. The man behind the gun was also discovered to be former Marine, as well as Lovejoy's gun instructor and lover,
Niggas. Wow, brother. Alright, you got the snow bunny making you do these? Also, former Marine and you can't hit your... Well, thank God you couldn't hit his target. How about that?
McDavid, who had made a run for it after his failed attempt. The AR-15 rifle he used was later found in his garage. After the pair were arrested a week later, it was revealed that Lovejoy had paid McDavid $2,000 to assassinate her ex-husband.
It's not enough. $2,000. You lost your freedom for $2,000. Think how broke is you?
To get him out of the picture with concerns over their son. During a court hearing, Lovejoy alleged that Mulvihill had mistreated her and her young son. However, both Mulvihill and the prosecutors disapproved of the claims. Investigators discovered surveillance footage of Lovejoy from less than a month before the attempted murder, where she purchased the burner phone which McDavid had used to call Mulvihill on that fateful night. And on the 13th of November 2016, a jury found Lovejoy and McDavid guilty of attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Video footage captured from the courtroom showed Lovejoy's unexpected reaction.
Yo, all these ugly ass criers, man. I mean, yeah, I'm throwing straight bottom.
When the verdict on her charges was pronounced, immediately the guilty verdict was read. Lovejoy, who had been staring blankly ahead while sitting beside her attorney, suddenly slumped as her head hit the desk. There were murmurs of both shock and concern around the courtroom, as it had appeared that Lovejoy had gone unconscious. Court officers had to rush to lay her on the floor before she was eventually rushed to the hospital, where it was confirmed that she had fainted. Lovejoy was eventually sentenced in December to 26 years in prison, while McDavid received a...
Sorry, you fainted for 26 years? I thought you got a 50 ball at least, a Honda. He ain't even get sentenced for real. He just said, yeah, you guilty. You fainted because he was guilty. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
50-year sentence for being the one who pulled the trigger on Lovejoy's husband. As we shift from the harrowing tale of Diana Lovejoy, we find ourselves facing the chilling story of Camilla Gamet.
You're relentless. You stab, you stab, you stab, you stab.
These are my judges. These are the judges I like. Like, yeah, bro. Get into that, man. Honest ain't the word. What's the word? Excoriate. Yeah.
You stabbed until he was dead.
In 2013, Camilla Gamet was living with her 38-year-old boyfriend, Marcel Hill.
God damn it, this is another one I've seen already. Boyfriend? This not the one with Shawty a prostitute? Are y'all sure?
In Jackson, Michigan. The pair had opposing personalities, as Marcel, who suffered with multiple mental and physical disabilities, was described to be a friendly, childlike man and worked at a fast food joint. On the other hand, Gamut, who had a difficult childhood living in 13 different foster homes, was known to be a substance user who had an abusive nature and a tendency for violent outbursts. Gamut had previously been arrested for assaulting an ex-boyfriend and would bring the same mistreatment behavior to her relationship with Hill, often bullying and seriously assaulting him. One time, Gamut stabbed Hill with a knife and stitched up the wound afterwards. She also punctured his lung in another assault incident. And in a third incident, she hit him in the head with a hammer.
That brother never had a chance. Never had a chance.
On all three occasions, Hill chose not to report Gamut to the authorities, and he wouldn't live to rue his inactions. On the 18th of May, 2013, Gamut and Hill got into a brutal physical fight where, in a fit of rage, Gamut absolutely violated Hill, bludgeoning and stabbing him multiple times with a knife and frying pan till he was unconscious and cutting the torso of his dead body open. Hearing the racket coming from their home, a neighbor called 911, and when police arrived, they were met with a house in complete disarray. Furniture had been smashed. The knife and frying pan, as well as Gamut, were covered in Hill's blood. Hill had been stabbed 11 times, but remarkably, Gamut had sustained no injuries and was only slurring her speech after she was found. Gamut was swiftly arrested, but claimed to authorities that she had been asleep in the living room when someone had repeatedly hit her over the head, which led her to defend herself from the unidentified attacker before she eventually realized that it was her boyfriend. During the court hearing in March 2014, Gamut's claims were easily dismissed due to the many holes in her story. On the 16th of April 2014, Gamut was found guilty of the charges and sentenced by a Jackson County Circuit judge to a life in prison without the possibility of parole. However, Gamut's reaction to the sentencing would spark a series of outbursts in the court, especially from the judge. Before the verdict was pronounced, Gamut showed no signs of remorse, merely rolling her eyes and laughing as Hill's family read out an emotional letter to her. The presiding judge reacted to this by saying he hoped Gamut died in prison, and that if Mississippi was a death penalty state, she would have been handed the electric chair. Just when you think Kamia Gamut's actions are as dark as it gets, brace yourself for Taylor Shabusiness.
Wow, my right hand enjoys this.
Stop it.
The woman you just saw is Taylor Shabusiness. On February 23, 2022, the dismembered head of a 24-year-old American named Shad Therian was found in a bucket by his mother in Green Bay, Wisconsin. His mother, Tara Pakanich, called the police and they discovered several bisected body parts in different locations. The perpetrator? Taylor Shabusiness. Therian and Shabusiness had been involved in a relationship for a while, and 2 days before parts of Therian was found, Taylor had picked him up from his mother's house. She took him to another apartment where they had met up with a friend and ingested quantities of hard substances. Shortly after, they were under the influence, so they went back to Therian's apartment. When they arrived, they got intimate in the basement. Tara Pakanich had been out with her boyfriend when her son and Taylor arrived in the house. However, during this process, Taylor strangled Therian until he started to cough up blood, and didn't stop until he gave up. She killed Therian with a metal chain before dismembering his body and putting his head in his mother's basement. She also removed...
Can anybody tell me why? What is she on?
Therian's organs and parts and put them in plastic bags, cardboard boxes, and a storage tote. The particular murder was so gruesome that it is still being talked about. If what Shabusiness did to Therian when he was alive was horrifying, it was later revealed that what she did to him afterwards was even worse.
But when did you start, cutting up his body?
Like almost right away. I was sucking and cutting at the same time.
Throw the world away. She was sucking and cutting at the same time. Now, the inquisitive part of me is like, sucking what? But I am not a child. Bitch, what? There's no way. You was doing what? Nah, that can't be real. It can't be real.
Shabusiness mistreated Therian's body for hours after he died. She sexually assaulted him and mutilated his body with intimate objects after being intimate with the body herself. She admitted this with no ounce of remorse in her behavior, but this was not even enough. Shabiznes appeared in court after she was arrested 3 months later by the police when they found the missing remains of Therian in her minivan. She was charged with intentional homicide, third-degree sexual assault, and mutilation of a corpse, among...
First and foremost, that ain't third degree. That's first degree. Wait, what? She took his life against his will, and then took him and various parts of him against his will because there was no will left in him. What the? That's first degree. What?
Other counts. Investigation revealed that Taylor Shabiznes had drawn inspiration from the infamous serial killer, Jeffrey Dahmer, who had ritualistic habits when he murdered his victims.
You meet the same fate as your idealistic Jeffrey Dahmer.
Are you hoping she does? Because jail wasn't his final fate, brother. Like, unless somebody beats her with you know what I'm saying? Unless somebody eliminates her from the game, then she didn't do that.
So have a good life, shit business.
Taylor claimed that after she dismembered Therian, she drained his blood into the bathtub and took a shower with it. Ew. This particularly horrifying revelation shocked the interrogator to the core. Eventually, it was time for Shabiznes to defend her position. However, she had other plans.
Stop it.
During this court appearance on February 23rd, Shabiznes suddenly attacked her lawyer, shocking everyone who was in the courtroom at the time. She hit him in the face before the lawyer fended her off himself, before the officers in the courtroom tried to subdue her. 6 months before this, on September 1st, 2022, the lawyer Shabiznes attacked, Quinn Jolly, had submitted a plea of not guilty by insanity due to the nature of Shabiznes' actions. It seemed that the reason Taylor attacked her attorney in the first place was because Quinn had requested that the trial date be moved back a little. After this incident, however, Quinn told Judge Thomas Walsh that he planned to remove himself from the case after that session. After this outburst and sudden attack from Shabiznes, her future appearances in court showed her wearing a spit guard due to her unpredictable actions. In one of these sessions, Shad Therian's uncle told Shabiznes that what she did was horrible, and it was a consequence of her refusing to get help for her condition.
You know, there's help out there. And if you take the path to go get the help, you wouldn't be in this situation right now. None of us would be in this situation. But to take the cowardly path that you did and to make other people suffer because you were suffering is pretty shitty.
Michael Therian.
Go ahead.
Taylor, I just wanted to say that I forgive you for what you've done to my son. Yeah, you made a bad choice, and now you have to live with it. And like I said, I forgive you, and I'm going to ask the judge if he can, if she can see the streets again sometime,
Shabiznes showed no remorse for anything she had done and was seen smirking.
Will I ever get to that level? Never. I'm sorry. I don't know, but I believe in God too. But it's just a level of forgiveness that I can't get to. I'm sorry. He different. Respect to him. I'll never disrespect somebody that can live like that, but me personally.
On multiple occasions, Judge Walsh didn't think this was right or even permitted in any way, because what Taylor did was so terrifying that the judge said that it offended human decency. The jury took only 30 minutes to decide on their verdicts, and they found Shabiznes guilty of all charges. Even though Shabiznes' new attorney had insisted on a plea of not guilty on the basis of insanity, the jury said that the murder was premeditated and calculated. Shabiznes was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, and she showed little to no emotion as her sentence was read to her. We now turn our attention to Shayna Hubers, a young woman whose tumultuous relationship ended in a shocking act of violence.
Has led to her shooting Ryan Poston to death in 2012.
Snapped my neck because of the way that he was jerking my head around.
Ryan Poston was an intelligent young man who majored in history, geography, and political science at Indiana University before attending law school at Northern Kentucky University. After graduating, Ryan embarked on a successful career as an attorney in Cincinnati, Ohio. During this phase, he crossed paths with Shayna Hubers, a 20-year-old woman with whom he embarked on a tumultuous relationship.
Bolte, you are Miss Ohio.
She's Miss Ohio 2012.
See, 3 women remain, only
one of the final 3 at the Miss USA pageant.
Over the next 18 months,
Yo, they might really have to run them beauty pageants without makeup.
Ryan and Shayna broke up nearly a dozen times. Despite their differences, they continued to be drawn back together, driven by an inexplicable force. On October 12, 2012, Ryan and Shayna found themselves in an off period of their relationship. Ryan, in fact, had plans to go on a date with the Miss Ohio USA 2012 winner that night. Little did he know that his life would soon be cut short. Later that night, Shayna called 911 from Ryan's apartment, telling the dispatcher that she had shot and killed him. The dispatcher immediately dispatched police and paramedics to the scene, where they found Ryan's lifeless body lying in a pool of blood. After her arrest, Shayna was interviewed by detectives, where she made several disturbing statements. She called Ryan very vain, seemingly attempting to shift blame onto him. Further, she expressed doubts that anyone would want to marry her after knowing she had shot him in self-defense. During the interrogation, Shayna's behavior became increasingly erratic when she was left alone. Shayna began dancing and singing Amazing Grace.
See what I'm saying? Like, this is not, like, you taking someone's life in self-defense, allegedly, isn't the reason why no one would marry you. You're crazy. What are you doing?
Seemingly oblivious to the seriousness of her situation. She even confessed, saying, "I did it. Yes, I did it. I can't believe I did that."
Not a murderer at all. Now, the past several days...
I did it. I did it. I can't believe I did it. Yeah, I did it. I did it. And when she made a song.
The Commonwealth attorney has been calling witness after witness, many testifying that Hubers intentionally killed.
Shayna was charged with first-degree murder. Her bail was set at a staggering $5 million, ensuring she would remain in custody until her trial. In 2015, Shayna's trial began, lasting 2 weeks and culminating with the jury deliberating for 5 hours before delivering a guilty verdict. However, the defense would later uncover that a juror who sat on her trial was a felon, casting doubts on the fairness of the verdict. As a result, the ruling was overturned and Shayna was granted a new trial.
Will try to once again prove Hubers murdered her ex-boyfriend Ryan Poston. Hubers says it was an act of...
They don't screen you before. How the hell did he even get there? No, that makes no sense. I thought you lose the right to do that, just like you lose the right to vote.
Self-defense when she shot Poston in his Highland Heights condo.
In 2018, Shayna faced trial for the second time in connection to the tragic murder of her boyfriend, Ryan Poston. This trial brought attention to the relationship between Shayna and Ryan, which delved into explicit details of their romantic life. The defense argued that Ryan's behavior towards Shayna was like a yo-yo, pushing her away and then pulling her back, causing confusion and mixed messages. However, the prosecution presented a compelling argument, reminding jurors that it was Shayna who closed the distance between them and fired the initial shot, ultimately choosing to shoot him in the head 5 more times.
We believe was There's no way she was even trying to get self-defense off and you shot him in the head 5 more times. What are we debating about? There was breath boxing about this? Y'all was jabbing y'all jaws about
family member or a friend. Opening statements were made this morning in which the prosecution said that Shayna Hubers was a cold, calculating woman.
According to the prosecutors, Shayna was relentless in her pursuit of Ryan. They presented evidence showing that she texted and called him excessively. Furthermore, during the interrogation process, Shayna was recorded saying, "I'm good at acting." This statement raised suspicions among the prosecution, as they believed she was putting on a facade to deceive the police.
We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder.
Guilty! The woman who shot her boyfriend because he was about to ditch her for a Miss USA contest.
After the jury left to deliberate, it ultimately took 5 hours.
Funnily enough, she wasn't even, she don't look that bad. I don't partake in that shit, but she didn't look that bad, so I don't know, the ego thing or jealousy or whatever, but you could have found another person.
For them to once again find Shayna guilty of Ryan's murder. As the guilty verdict was read, Shayna leaned forward, buried her face in her attorney's lap, and cried. During the sentencing phase, the judge told Shayna that her actions were grossly violent and intentionally calculated. This assessment led him to conclude that a life sentence was the most appropriate punishment.
The jury found that you intentionally murdered Ryan Poston. You picked up Mr. Poston's gun from the kitchen table and shot him 6 times.
As Judge Zala handed down the sentence, the courtroom remained silent. Shayna maintained an emotionless expression, seemingly unaffected by the gravity of the situation. In an attempt to sway the judge, Shayna's attorney requested a mistrial. However, the judge denied the motion. In the next case, we'll delve into the chilling tale of Dynell Lane, a heinous female murderer who committed a truly unimaginable act.
She's spoken publicly about what happened that day in March, just once.
So the heinous act wasn't that face she got.
She said that when Lane started attacking her, she told her that she loved her, hoping that she might stop. Wilkins says Lane responded, "If you love me, you will let me do this."
On March 18, 2018, Michelle Wilkins, 7 months pregnant, responded to a Craigslist advertisement for baby clothes. Michelle had no way of knowing that her encounter with Dynell Lane, a 35-year-old woman, would turn into a horrifying nightmare. Dynell Lane invited Michelle into her home under the guise of selling baby clothes. However, when Michelle arrived, she discovered that Dynell had other intentions.
After the
Why would she go meet her in person? And shit like this be destroying your faith in humanity. Like, damn, they can't even go buy no baby clothes by themselves without a weapon and a security team, clearly.
verdict, Michelle Wilkins sat in a quiet room and reflected on the most difficult time of her life.
I forgive her whether she asked my forgiveness or not.
She also shared a tragically personal moment.
Dynell led Michelle down to the basement where her sinister plan unfolded. In the basement, Dynell, armed with a lava lamp, violently assaulted Michelle. She hit Michelle in the head, leaving her disoriented. Escalating the situation, Dynell used a piece of broken glass to stab Michelle in the neck. With Michelle helpless on the ground, Dynell, in a twisted act of violence, cut open Michelle's stomach and removed the unborn baby girl from her uterus.
I did all the things that, a mom would want to do. I read to her, I dressed her, but not being able to witness her first breath.
After cutting baby Aurora from her mother's womb, Dynell left Michelle to bleed out in the basement. Dynell's husband, David Ridley, arrived home from work. When he arrived, he found Dynell covered in blood.
And they go back into this bedroom. This is their room number 10. And let me tell you what happened.
Dynell, in a panicked state,
What in the fuck?
told David that she had a miscarriage in the upstairs bathtub. David and Dynell rushed the baby girl to the hospital, hoping to save her life. Unfortunately, the baby did not survive.
Of course not. Hold on, and then you left her there?
So the record will be clear. I'll try to ask you specific questions, and you can answer them best you can. So you then went downstairs with the defendant.
Michelle Wilkins miraculously survived the assault and was taken to the hospital herself. When Michelle was receiving treatment, the doctors became suspicious of Dynell's story. The doctors noticed that she showed no signs of having just given birth, leading them to question her account.
Now this is one of those questions of why. Who knows why? David Ridley told you he didn't want kids. You know that Miss Lane had 2 other children of her own.
Soon, the truth began to unfold. It was revealed that Dynell had lied to her husband and children for months about being pregnant. She had created a ruse to make everyone believe that she was having a baby, even going as far as posting fake ultrasound photos on social media.
Now this is one of those questions of why. Who knows why? David Ridley told you he didn't want kids. You know that Miss Lane had 2 other children of her own. Why did she fake this pregnancy? We don't know.
However, as Dynell's fake due date approached, she found herself in need of a baby. Desperate to fill her desires, she created an ad online and lured an unsuspecting pregnant woman to her home. Her goal was to steal the baby and continue.
Not the victim. That was not directed towards the victim at all. I'm talking about this idiot who said, "Yeah, let me fabricate a whole baby." What the fuck?
her facade of being pregnant.
As we get into things starting today, of course, jury selection begins, and 300 potential jurors will be summoned. Of course, that will be narrowed down to just a few.
Dynell was charged with attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of first-degree assault, 2 counts of second-degree assault, and unlawful termination of a pregnancy. She was unable to be charged with the baby's death due to Colorado law. Despite this technicality, the jurors still convicted Dynel on all charges, and the judge sentenced her to 100 years in prison.
Lane in prior...
Man, the more I keep hearing about Colorado, besides the detectives being dumbasses, like, man, Judge, cut that ass. 100, 120, 130.
Court appearances. She remains in custody at the Boulder County Jail on $2 million bond, and if she gets convicted...
Throughout the trial, Dynel maintained a stoic demeanor, showing no emotion as the case details unfolded. However, upon hearing the judge's sentencing, Dynel broke down in tears. One of the trial's most compelling moments came when an interview tape was played for the jury.
Lane admitted to strangling Wilkins, then she admitted to cutting out Wilkins' baby. Listen.
I got the knife that she had.
In this tape, Dynel claimed that Michelle possessed the knife during the altercation. Although this statement was refuted by other evidence, it seemed to elicit a reaction from Dynel, as she could be seen crying during the playback. While Dynel herself chose not to testify, her friends and family...
Like your kids gotta watch you on trial and hear all your atrocities. Come on, man.
They felt the emotional impact of her case deeply. They spoke on her behalf, sharing stories of a loving and compassionate woman they knew.
I choose to use my time to address you directly, Dynel, because up to this very moment you have refused to acknowledge us, the victims of your violent actions.
During the trial, Michelle had the opportunity to confront Dynel head-on, delivering a powerful statement. Holding a large picture of her daughter, Aurora, Michelle addressed the defendant, saying, "You'd knowingly left me to die multiple times. The only tears you shed during the trial were those of self-pity, to the sound of your voice as your lies were slowly revealed."
Anger was valid, and I also felt the compassion, and I reached a comfortable place where I could experience both of those.
That is Michelle Wilkins.
Her words. Hey. This is a beautiful statement.
Michelle emphasized her desire for justice, advocating for a maximum sentence for Dynel. She believed such a sentence would allow Dynel time to atone, reflect, and meditate with prayer and action. Her intention was for Dynel to truly understand the gravity of her actions and their impact on everyone involved. We now encounter the perplexing story of Kimberly Kessler. Kessler's case is one that raises numerous questions about identity, trust, and the dark corners of human behavior. 34-year-old Jolene Rebecca Cummings was a single mother of 3, working as a hairstylist at a local salon in Yulee, Florida, in May 2018. Her friend, Brooke Harley, reminisced how she met her in high school and had been friends with her ever since. She said Jolene was vivacious. People wanted to be around her. She was a very giving, loving person. She was amazing. According to Brooke, Jolene graduated in 2002 and got pregnant shortly after. Though young, the latter was confident she would be a good mother.
Brooke says Jolene was the kind of friend that would stick up for you.
She'd always be like, "Why are you letting them talk to you like that or do that to you? Like, you can't do that."
When Jolene's relationship with her daughter's father did not work out, she moved to Jacksonville with her child and enrolled in cosmetology school. Jolene's mother, Ann Johnson, recounted how her daughter was ecstatic about getting the job and was slowly building her clientele. On May 13th, 2008, it was Mother's Day and Jolene's birthday. Ann stated her daughter always bought her flowers on that day. When Jason pulled into the driveway around 6 p.m. and said Jolene did not meet him in Hillard as per their predetermined arrangement to pick up the children, Ann started getting worried. Jason said, "I would have heard from her. Her daughter definitely would have heard from her." Ann knew something was wrong when Jolene did not pick up her calls and contacted the Fernandina Beach Police Department to file a missing person report. The 34-year-old was last noticed leaving her workplace around 5 p.m. on May 12th and was never seen again. According to the authorities, she has been murdered, but her remains have not been found to date. The police suspected her body was dismembered and secretly disposed of. The investigators decided to build a timeline leading up to Jolene's disappearance and contacted the owners of the Tangles Hair Salon to learn she had been tasked to close up the salon on May 12th at 5 p.m. Furthermore, the owners informed the officers that she was with a new employee named Jennifer Seibert and provided them with her address and contact number. Soon, the investigators found Jolene's beige Ford Expedition on May 15th in the Home Depot parking lot in Yulee. They checked the surveillance footage to discover Jennifer walking from the parking lot and going into a nearby gas station after parking the car on May 13th at around 1:17 a.m. Suspecting she was involved, the police returned to the salon to learn she had not reported to her work ever since. Kimberly, who was going under the fake alias of Jennifer Seibert, was charged with first-degree murder in September 2018 and was also charged with 2 counts of battery on a law enforcement officer after allegedly stripping nude and flinging feces at them. As per the show, her antics inside the jail and court, including going on a
She thinks she's a chimp. Monkey see, monkey do.
hunger strike, were to be ruled mentally incompetent to stand on trial. However, she was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in December 2021. According to her inmate records, Kimberly is in her mid-50s and is serving her sentence at the Lowell Correctional.
She done went through every phase, bro. She went skinny, she went chubby. Now she went amphetamine.
Institution in Marion County, Florida. Kimberly Kessler wove a web of lies that culminated in a shocking act of violence, but the next case is just as disturbing. Ezra McCandless.
The courts and Alex's family, but most of all, Alex's parents. I want to say how sorry I am. They have lost their son.
On March 23, 2018, the body of 24-year-old Alex Woodworth was found in a 2003 Chevy Impala on a dirt road. He had been stabbed 16 times in his head, neck, groin, and torso. Only a few hours before, Ezra McCandless had knocked on the door of a dairy farmer with blood, bruises, and mud all over her. She was barefoot and asked for help and a doctor, saying that she had been attacked. The farmer called 911 for help, hoping to help the girl who looked like she just had a close shave with death. Little did he know that there was something more sinister about this woman. She was taken to a local hospital and kept asking for a man named Jason Mengel.
911, what's the address of the emergency? This is Don Sipple calling, and I have a young lady that just came to my house, and somebody attacked her, and she's a doctor. Her clothes are all torn, and...
In 2017, McCandless met 33-year-old Jason Mengel, a National Guard medic. It didn't take long before they started dating, and by August of the same year, they had moved in together. Around the same time, however, McCandless met 23-year-old Alex Woodworth, who worked as a barista at a coffee house.
Oh yeah, she's a bop. I did see this. Yeah, she took Alex out the game. She is a bop also.
Both Mengel and McCandless met Alex when they went to the coffee house. Unknown to Mengel, McCandless began a secret relationship with Woodworth 2 months after she started dating Mengel. This relationship would continue for months until Mengel found out in February.
That picture, now I definitely remember Erza. Erza? Yeah, I'm gonna say Erza because nigga, Erza is from Fairy Tale Gas, nigga. Can't give her the same name as a goat, nigga.
2018. After Jason came back from National Guard duty one time, he found out that McCandless had been cheating on him with Woodworth and another man named Mr. J. Hansen. Jason was furious and confronted the 2 men, even accusing Hansen of sexually assaulting McCandless because she claimed that he had assaulted her.
Nah, twin. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah, he's stupid. I forgot about that too. Like, man, nigga, use your brain. She's just a bop, twin.
On February 24, 2018, McCandless sent a text to Woodworth saying she never wanted to see him again because he caused her relationship with Mengel to end. Now that both relationships had ended, McCandless started pining for Mengel again. She sent him text messages and journals saying that she was angry at herself for betraying him and kept trying to see him. Jason Mengel refused because he didn't want to have anything to do with her, but McCandless didn't give up. She started looking for ways to run into Mengel. On March 27, 2018, Mengel was at the coffee house where Woodworth worked when Ezra suddenly showed up. Even though they texted the day before, she didn't mention that she would be in town. Woodworth was not at work that day, and Ezra told Mengel that she had some items to return to him, so she went to his house. Because Ezra had been acting strange, Mengel rode his bike over to Woodworth's house and saw that Ezra was with him. He entered the house and saw them talking, but said that he didn't think that they were supposed to be together alone. However, when the police came up to Mengel outside the house after a janitor had called them, Mengel left with them. This was the last time that anyone saw Woodworth alive. A few hours later, she showed up at the door of the dairy farmer we talked about earlier. In the hospital, police asked her what happened, but she said she couldn't remember. Since McCandless had shown up without her car, the police went...
She did say that, and then she said, he attacked me. Oh, it was all cap. It was all show.
Searching for it. To their shock, they found the body of Woodworth hanging out of the back of the car. He had been stabbed 16 times. As expected, McCandless was brought in for questioning. Ezra was told that her car had been found and Woodworth was murdered. Ezra claimed that he had attacked her and that he carved the word boy into her arm because he had always questioned her sexuality. However, the police soon began to notice inconsistencies in her story. At first, she said that Woodworth had assaulted her in the back seat of her
sexuality. Wouldn't that be questioning her gender? Also, she's like a boy to y'all.
Her car. Later, she said that the assault had happened in an entirely different location. Soon enough, too, it was revealed that she was the one who had carved the word into her arm and not Woodworth. McCandless eventually admitted that she had indeed killed Woodworth. She said that she tried to escape, but that there was no way, so she grabbed the knife that Alex was holding by the blade and stabbed him everywhere she could. Except that Alex had no defensive wounds, and it seemed like he had not died inside the car. Because of all these holes in her stories, Ezra was arrested and charged with first-degree intentional homicide. In court, she claimed that she had killed him in self-defense. The knife that she used was from her father, who admitted that he had given her knives in the past.
As my leg is between his knees at that point, gripping the seat, I decided then to knee him in the groin.
What happens when, well, you decided to knee him in the groin? Did you actually do it?
Yes.
Throughout the trial, McCandless was calm. She showed no remorse and even laughed from time to time. Particularly when Mengel was called to testify, she looked giddy and delighted. Despite the argument that McCandless presented, the jury found her guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. According to prosecutors, the fact that McCandless had left with Woodworth's phone was proof that she wanted him to die.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Ezra J. McCandless, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in the information.
Ezra McCandless looked dazed mostly during the verdict. However, she displayed a different emotion at sentencing. She was teary as she apologized to Woodworth's family and told them how sorry she was.
Yeah, we want that apology.
Alex's parents. I want to say how sorry I am that they have lost their son.
Ultimately, Ezra McCandless was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 50 years. When a love triangle turned fatal, Ezra McCandless saw the need to eliminate one man to get to the other. The same cannot be said for Sakina Mohammed, who felt the need to get rid of her boyfriend to save herself.
Ms. Mohammed, is there anything you would like to say?
I just want to say sorry to my daughter. That's it.
All right, fair enough. Thank you.
On March 13, 2022, Wyoming police responded to an apartment after a woman said she heard her daughter and her boyfriend arguing on the phone when she called. Her daughter was 21-year-old Sakina Mohammed, and her boyfriend was 27-year-old Quan Andre Winston Jr. When police got to the home, Winston was found dead and shot in the head. His body was at the bottom of the stairwell, and there was no one else in the house. Sakina Mohammed and her 11-month-old daughter that she shared with Winston were missing. The next day, Sakina turned herself in and told the police that she had killed Winston in self-defense. She told the police that Winston was choking her and that she decided she already had enough and shot him. Winston and Sakina had a violent relationship, and Winston had been arrested for assault and domestic violence twice before. He had a lengthy history of violence, and at the time, things were very tense between the two. He had just pleaded no contest to aggravated assault and domestic violence when he went to the house he shared with Sakina and their daughter. Even though there was a court order that protected Sakina from him, Winston ignored the order and went there regardless. It is not sure what they were arguing about, but when things got too heated, Sakina claimed that Winston started strangling her, and in self-defense, she pointed the gun at him. According to witnesses, Winston was begging for his life after Sakina pointed the gun at him. Allegedly, when Winston begged Sakina not to kill him, she responded and told him, "No, bro, you're dead," before shooting.
That's not funny, but like, there's no way that's the last words he heard in life. What the fuck? Nah, bro, you're dead. Like, what?
Him. 30 minutes before she murdered Winston, Sakina posted on social media that she was single as a MF. Sakina was charged with first-degree murder, homicide open murder, and felony firearms. Even though she claimed that she had shot him in self-defense, the jury rejected her claims based on evidence. It was revealed that Sakina was standing too far away from Winston to have shot him.
am I tripping? Is it like a different picture? How does she gain so much weight and lose so much weight? How are they doing it? Jail food is not that good to be gaining that much weight.
Self-defense. The jury found Sakina guilty of all charges, and it was time to deliver the verdict. Sakina showed no form of remorse for what she did, and said only one sentence in court.
Ms. Muhammad, is there anything you would like to say?
I just want to say sorry to my daughter. That's it.
All right, fair enough. Thank you.
Ultimately, she was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Sakina claimed she killed her abuser because she had no other choice. How does that compare to a case where the woman is the abuser?
Sober for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And then why am I not sober? Because of you. Like, you're hindering my progress.
Like in the case of Courtney Clinny, an OnlyFans and Instagram model whose life came crashing down after she fatally stabbed her boyfriend to death in Florida. On April 3rd, 2022, Clinny called 911 and told them that her boyfriend, 27-year-old Christian Obumsley, had been stabbed during an argument.
Brothers, we must stay focused. Man, that's a goddamn problem. And again, I did this see Black on Black Vlog, but I shouldn't have been with that cold. Yeah. And you can tell it's Coca-Cola.
Argument between them. When the police got there, they found Clinny covered in her boyfriend's blood and in a state of panic.
My boyfriend's blood is all over.
They had been stabbed.
She's a Bob. It's a generation of Bob. They got her. She went straight to her. Yo, her senses are crazy. Spider-Man, is that you?
During an argument between them. When the police got there, they found Clinny covered in her boyfriend's blood and in a state of panic.
My boyfriend's blood is all over.
I know, but you can't. Unfortunately, you can't go in there. You can't go in the apartment.
Clinny admitted to killing Obumsley, but she said that she had done it in self-defense. She said she had thrown the knife at him from 10 feet away after Obumsley had thrown.
So this bitch Ezio. What? I'm supposed to believe you, Ezio? Shit. I threw the knife from 10 feet away. And it hit his target.
Her on the ground. Immediately after this happened, Clinny checked herself into a mental health institution in Hawaii. She was recovering from substance abuse and post-traumatic stress disorder. During that period, the investigation was going on, and soon the details that began to come up showed that Clinny was not telling the truth about what actually happened. The medical examiner revealed that the wound was not something that could have been caused by throwing a knife. Consequently, Clinny was arrested in August 2022 on second-degree murder charges. After this, the story started changing, and evidence began to show that Clinny was actually the aggressor and attacker in the relationship. According to witnesses and friends, the two of them had a very violent and toxic relationship. They said that they had witnessed Clinny throw weapons at Obumsley on different occasions. In 2021, Clinny had been arrested for assaulting Obumsley in Las Vegas, a month before the fatal stabbing. Video footage showed Clinny getting violent in an elevator and hitting Obumsley. She repeatedly hit him with her fists and yanked his hair.
Oh yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Just leave. Gotta run. That's when you gotta run. We in an elevator too, bro. It's when that elevator will open. You gotta do the fake step first, cause might juke her ass out. I'm gone.
Eventually, they started hitting each other until the elevator doors opened and they left. In another video, she was recorded yelling at Obumsley in her apartment, hitting him and even telling him to leave their apartment. All of these led to Clinny being held without bail. The investigation then revealed that Clinny's parents were also guilty of charges related to the murder of Obumsley. After the murder happened, Clinny and her parents, Kim and Deborah Clinny, were accused of illegally accessing Obumsley's laptop after prosecutors accessed their iCloud accounts and found incriminating messages. Allegedly, they had accessed his information so that they could delete messages of them calling Obumsley racial slurs because he was black. However, the case was later dropped and Clinny's parents...
What in the used scooty's going on here? Oh, Lord, bro. No cap. I'm calling my ops jigger.
Parents sued the state for burglary in September 2024.
So shut up! Get off of me!
An audio recording was released where Obumsley could be heard apologizing while they were arguing about an incident that happened. In the recording, Clinny could be heard calling Obumsley racial slurs in a fit of anger. She also told him to let her slap him. This confirmed many people's suspicions that Clinny was the aggressor in the relationship, and there was no way that she killed Obumsley in self-defense. On November 15, 2024, Clenny was denied bond again and was kept in jail until her trial. A date has not been announced, and if Clenny is found guilty, she could be looking at anywhere from 10 years to life in prison. It is not sure what punishment awaits Clenny at the end of her trial. The same cannot be said for Christine Ricci, who could not forgive her husband for an affair.
A person convicted of second-degree murder is sentenced to life in state prison, but is eligible for parole after 15 to 25 years.
In 2018, Christine Ricci found out that her husband, Michael Ricci, had been cheating on her for a while. After Michael was found out, he broke off the affair and tried to fix things, but the damage was beyond repair. It also didn't help that Michael was an alcoholic who drank so often and heavily that he had lapses in his memory. Before long, Michael and Christine Ricci began to fight so often that their 3 children were no longer surprised when they started fighting. Unsurprisingly, Christine never forgave Michael for the affair. She would bring it up almost every day, and it almost all.
And I'm an alcoholic. Bro, can we can divorce, gang. No, realistically, we can divorce because I'm already lacking liver. Telling you, killing his kidneys, dying.
Always caused a fight. Christine became violent, and according to one of her children, she had grabbed a kitchen knife one time and threatened to stab herself in the stomach. These fights went on for 3 years until January 2021 when things turned deadly. On January 18, 2021, Michael and Christine were arguing when things got extremely heated. Christine took a kitchen knife and stabbed Michael in the heart and the back of his left shoulder. Sophia Ricci, the couple's daughter, was in the house when this happened. She heard her mother yelling and told her to call 911. When the police arrived at the scene, Michael Ricci was pronounced dead and Christine was arrested. During the investigation, Christine claimed that on the day Michael died, they had been having an argument and that Michael had a manic episode. She said that this had happened countless times, and she grabbed a steak knife to scare him off as usual. However, she claimed that instead of him backing away, he lunged at her, and she didn't know that the knife had penetrated his chest until he fell to the ground. Christine Ricci was charged with second-degree murder, assault, and battery with a dangerous weapon. In court, Michael and Christine's children gave emotional impact statements. Their first son talked about how Michael was a good man who served as a good role model to him and everyone around him.
My dad was still my hero. He's perhaps the most important person in my life.
During her verdict, Christine Ricci was said to be teary and emotional when she learned that she was guilty of the charges leveled against her. In a trial that lasted 5 days in 2024, the jury took 2.5 hours to decide whether she was guilty or not.
Jury CR 00153 on offense number 001, wherein the defendant, Christine Ricci, is charged with the crime of murder. Is she guilty or not guilty? Guilty.
During Christine Ricci's sentencing, the presiding judge admonished her, saying, "Miss Ricci, within your own soul, you will live with the guilt and burden of Michael Ricci Sr.'s death for the rest of your life." Ultimately, Christine Ricci was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 20 years. Christine showed no remorse whatsoever and sat in court emotionless as she received her sentence. Christine Ricci's shocking actions revealed a dark and twisted motive, but the next case takes manipulation to another level.
Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, man, he's been killed. He's been killed, man. I'm sorry.
No, he's not.
Listen.
No.
In August 2009, Dalia DiPolito was arrested for attempting to hire a hitman to kill her husband. Dalia was a sex worker before she met and married Michael DiPolito in Florida.
Like I said in the first video, man, this shit is like anti-passport bros video.
They had been married for 6 months when things started to turn upside down for the couple. For reasons that were initially unknown, Dalia planned to hire a hitman to kill her husband. The first time, Dalia discussed her sinister plans for her husband with a friend named Mohammed Shahade. After she told him of her plans to kill her husband, she asked for Mohammed's help in doing so. He refused, and unknown to Dalia, he informed the police about these plans. Because of this, Boynton Beach police launched a sting operation for Dalia and had Shahade work as an informant.
Bank on Wednesday, I don't know if, I don't know if that's public for you.
And he's leaving the house by 8:30, he's gonna go get $10,000.
Yeah.
I could do it like that, but it is public, I'll get the money. But the thing about it is that it's a harder getaway.
After Shahade turned down Dalia's request, she decided to hire a hitman. She found someone and met up with them. Dalia was recorded talking to this hitman and discussing her plans to murder her husband. She was ignorant of this. Dalia also didn't know that the so-called hitman was an undercover cop posing as a hitman. On August 5th, 2009, Dalia returned home from the gym to meet the police at her house and the crime scene.
Is your husband Michael? Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, man. He's been killed. He's been killed, man.
The police told Dahlia that Mike...
Look at Kevin Herter. And he can't even play it off. And he started rubbing his ear like, that bitch stupid.
Michael was dead, and she was very emotional when she was informed. This interaction was also recorded before the police took Dahlia to the police station, claiming that they needed to tell her the details that they knew.
You're going to jail today for solicitation of murder. You're under arrest. That's an undercover police officer. We filmed everything that you did, recorded everything that you did.
Except Michael DiPolito was very much alive. The crime scene that Dahlia came home to was staged, and it was only when the police had Dahlia in custody that they revealed that her husband was still alive. They also recorded her reaction when they told her that the conversation she had with Shahade and the undercover cop had been recorded. Dahlia was arrested and charged with solicitation to commit first-degree murder. In court, prosecutors argued that the reason Dahlia tried to kill her husband was because she wanted access to his bank account and their townhouse in Palm Beach.
Yes, he told me to say that.
5,000% sure, ready to go.
I needed to project confidence, and yeah, that's what he told me. I needed to make it look believable.
Dahlia denied these accusations and gave a bizarre argument for what happened. She claimed that she was being recorded in the hopes of gaining reality TV fame on the internet. She also argued that the hitman scenario was fake and that she and her friend were acting. This argument did not sit right with the court. In 2011, Dahlia was sentenced to 20 years in prison for solicitation to commit first-degree murder.
Brother, if he would have got taken out of the game, she would have succeeded. If she wouldn't have went to upstanding citizen, she might have succeeded. 20 years? She ain't fitted. 56. Zenny. Down, sir.
However, the conviction was tossed out because of an improperly selected jury. She was once again charged in 2017, and this time she was sentenced to 16 years in prison. Dahlia DiPolito's murder-for-hire plot was pure deceit, but the next case is even more sinister. Beverly McCallum orchestrated a crime so brutal and calculated, it left investigators stunned.
40 to 60 years with 1,500 days credit. You owe 130 crime victim assessment, court costs of $500, $60 for DNA testing.
In 2002, a murder that soon got dubbed the Jack-in-the-Box murder remained unsolved for many years. On May 2, 2002, a blueberry farmer was driving on his land when he noticed burnt trees. When he got closer, he found an open footlocker. To his horror, the burnt remains of a man had been crumpled into the footlocker. Soon the police arrived and they gathered as much evidence as they could. Despite all their efforts, the body was not identified and the case became a cold one for years. It was not until 2015 that the body was finally identified as 37-year-old Roberto Caraballo. The last known family of Roberto Caraballo was Beverly McCallum, Deneen Ducharme, Beverly's first daughter, and Cicely Caraballo. Beverly and Roberto had been married and Cicely was their daughter. As expected, these people were called in for questioning. It was revealed that Ducharme had been the one to give information to the police about the body. Eventually, she said that her mother and another man, Christopher
Am I tripping, or do he not look like a wrestler? Anyway.
McMillan, had joined her in killing Roberto. During interrogation, McMillan said that Beverly
Now he looks more like a wrestler.
had pushed her husband down the basement steps and beat him with a hammer until it became lodged in his skull. He said that while Roberto was still breathing, Beverly wrapped a plastic bag around his head. According to McMillan and Beverly's daughter, she had planned the killing because she wanted to have a test run at being a serial killer. Ducharme and McMillan confessed to playing roles in the murder and mutilation of Roberto's body. Ducharme was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. Christopher McMillan was sentenced to 15 to 40 years in prison. Beverly evaded authorities for 5 years after Roberto's body was identified. She was eventually arrested in Italy in 2020. Beverly was extracted to the U.S. and her trial began. Beverly was described as someone dangerous to anyone who got in her way. Prosecutors also argued based on the testimony of her daughter that Beverly had killed Roberto because he was cramping her lifestyle. She was charged with second-degree murder and mutilation of a body. In court, she seemed very disinterested and showed no remorse for her actions. Even though the testimonies of the other two convicts correlated, McCallum said that it was her daughter who had killed her husband. Nobody believed her.
There's irredeemable pieces of excrement on the sidewalk. I can't believe you want to throw your daughter under the bus. You know you did. What is wrong with you?
Roberto's daughter, who is now 31 years old, gave her impact statement and asked the judge to impose the maximum sentence.
Justice must be served, not only for my father, but for those who have forever been changed by her ruthless actions. I formally request restitution and intend to utilize all proceeds to help support children of murdered parents.
Despite everything that her daughter said, Beverly McCallum remained stone-faced, bored, and at some point, she even dozed off when her attorney was giving.
Like, that's the lady that gave birth to you. Bruh, she evil, though. Like, she dead, don't care about nothing that's going on in this building. Like, she not about to get hit with a 50. Well, she already city.
In closing arguments, she maintained the same demeanor when the jury gave their verdict. The judge then expressed how she could not understand how someone could show no remorse. Ultimately, Beverly was sentenced to 40 to 60 years in prison. Beverly McCallum's brutal betrayal was shocking, but the next case dives into a twisted web of lies and deceit. Meet Sabrina Lamont, whose deadly plot to eliminate her husband for a new life spiraled out of control.
Man, we're going to have to catch her on the next episode of D Nigga Crazy. That's the end of the video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video, share your thoughts on the video in the comment section below. Hit the notification bell so you can stay updated when I drop videos on this channel. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Stay safe.
I can taste the power. Put you on this power. If you don't believe
You don't believe it.
you don't believe
I can see the future.
I can see the future.
I can taste this power.
Put you on this power.
Put you on this power.
Acting like you know me. You don't know nothing.
All my hoes is Yoshi's. Smoking, dodging police, feeling kinda groovy. I might spit a movie. You don't believe me. I can see the future, acting like you know me. Quickest way for me to get away. I need some access to some motion. New and clear and royal.